Hey guys, Zangetsu 134 here, bringing you another My Hero Academia vlog, this time on episodes 7 and 8, or no, 6 and 7 of Season 4 of My Hero Academia. So yeah, I know, I missed an episode, but, well, these sort of things happen every once in a while. I'm not perfect, unfortunately. But anyway, I'm back now. So, yeah, two episodes to talk about, so, let's always say time of my excuses, as usual. And let's just get right on to it. So, the first episode deals with the seeing um the all out or the Night Eye uh the Night Eye uh well, I can't think of what it's called. Basically, the Night Eye agency there. The Night Eye agency is um finally getting a superhero or team up together with a bunch of different various hero groups, which includes Fat Gum and Tamaki, or Fat Gum, Tamaki, Ryuku, Nejire, Asui, Siu, and Kirishima as they join with Midoriya and Mirio in their hunt for trying to find the Hiei Haisekai, as they and try to rescue Eri, who has now been revealed has a quirk that allows her to destroy someone's quirk. And they're using her skin cells and blood and such to basically create quirk destroying bullets on the behest of Overhaul. So basically, we get a bunch of characters introduced in this. Mainly the one that's most important is the hero Rocklock, who becomes a major focal point during this arc. They don't really talk about his quirk, but basically his quirk is lock, and basically he can, by touching something, once he activates his quirk, can lock it in place. He shows this off when they're not in this episode, but the next episode, where he is using it to travel through the air by freezing a piece of wood in place with his lock after throwing it, and then using it as a step to get over to the next building, and then recalling it with his ability. It's actually kind of neat. I know a lot of fans really like him because he's probably the first um, character of uh, that's a different race than just Japanese, as pretty much everyone has been Japanese, where he's clearly um, black. I didn't know how this because I don't know his actual ethnicity. Um, we'll get into more when they bring up his more about him, but basically, he's basically like chewing out Night Eye because as Mirio and Izuku find out, they could have grabbed Eri at that moment, but due to Mirio deciding that it's too dangerous to take her then, especially when going up against Overhaul, that'd be better to wait for when there's a chance to actually grab her. Which I actually really love how they animate the grief on both Mirio and Izuku's face. But thanks to that, they know more or less what's going on with the plan, as well as the bullet that got knocked off of Kirishima in the previous episode. They know more or less what's going on, and the fact that they need to hurry because they're trying to perfect a quirk destroying bullet. And really, this episode is pretty much just them talking about what needs to be done, what they have to do, and more or less talking about the weaknesses of Night Eye's quirk, and that it only works once on one person and he can only do it once a day to one person, and then there needs to be a 24-hour recharge time in between. So basically, they need to find someone who works with the Shiei Haisekai. I think I said it wrong the first time. Shiei Haisekai, and figure out where Eri is, and to figure out a way to more or less get her in and out. Um, but anyway, so more or less the big problem with and so basically like Fat Gum and Rocklock are like, we should just use the ability even on us, and he's like, I can't do that. And mainly this is because of the fact that he's worried he'll see someone dying, and horribly so, because that's something that happened to him when he looked at All Might. And that's really kind of the overarching um established in the last episode, that more or less it's all about, changing fate and fighting against, and just bringing change to society in general. All Might wants to bring change by making the world a place that has something they believe in, a symbol of hope and peace and justice that allows them to fight and protect the things they care about most. And Night Eye is, of course, afraid of using his powers because he's afraid to change the status quo too much, for those that could be disastrous. Whereas Overhaul, the villain of this arc, more or less wants to clearly do something that would radically change the way society is shaped, especially if he makes permanent quirk destruction bullets. We also get a great scene where Aizawa kind of cheers all the characters up as they, especially both Mirio and uh, Izuku, who feel the most bad about losing Eri, which I thought was a really nice, especially the part where Aizawa goes up to Izuku's like, I know you're gonna be the, if I tell you to stop, to suspend your your internship, I know you rush off and do something foolish on your own, so I'm going to make sure you do it right and not get hurt. Which basically is more a way of saying, I thought about telling you not to do this, but I know, like, it's better to have you here so that way I can make sure you don't get hurt and we can do it the right way. We also get a really good moment in this where Aizawa kind of explains his quirk, but they don't really explain it as well as they did in the manga. Or at least, maybe I think I'm remembering it wrong a little bit, because it has been like a year since I read the manga at this point. But basically, well, of this chapters, but basically, Aizawa explains his quirk. And what's funny is in here they actually show like a diagram, and because originally in the manga it was just him talking about using his quirk, and he used Ojiro from Class 1A as a demonstration. Whereas here they use like graphics and like a little person with that has like Ojiro's hair and tail. But basically, um, Aizawa's quirk is different from quirk bullets because it doesn't damage what's known as quirk genes. Basically, the genes that give everybody their quirk. And of course, they're different from person to person, and usually they're a mixture of their parents' genes. But basically, quirk genes just give you an extension of your body. Whether it be allowing you to manifest traits of the things you eat, or having engines in your legs, or having a tail, or being able to change gravity on the things you touch. They're just extensions of your body. And more or less, he doesn't attack them, but more or less he nullifies the genes to make them useless. Specifically, this thing called the alpha gene, or like the alpha energy. I forget exactly what it's called. Basically, it shuts off the energy of that quirk and makes it no longer work. But it can't change mutations. That and the manga explains this more. That basically, if your quirk is a mutation, or like say your body like is made to grow an extra set of arms, or you're like lizard like, he can't nullify that because that's just naturally your body. But he could now nullify, say, like the effect that it had. Like, he can't nullify Hajire's invincibility, for example, but he can nullify her ability to refract light, to do that big light shining thing. Or with Ojiro, he can't make the tail disappear, but it can make the tail fall limp, so he can't use it. It does make a lot more sense. Whereas this, it causes the genes to no longer exist and nullify them. Although, if that were the case, it most likely would like kill the person, because like if our genes are destroyed, it more or less means we die or get cancer. But then it's manga. Like Horikoshi, like, doesn't want you to like think of the really really hard ramifications of that too much. Um, and so yeah, both Izuku and Mirio and everyone else agrees um to help, even though like, as I was saying, I understand that you were brought into this not of your own volition, but if you are, you can back out if you want. Of course, none of them do because they're heroes. But Aizawa basically bans them from saying anything because, if anything gets out, it could, change. It could alert the Shia Haisakai and their plan would fall apart. that, and of course, Aizawa knows there's possibly a mole on campus, so they can't really, um, uh, you know, blurt anything out, or else it could, lead them to telling the League of Villains who could potentially be in league with the Shia Hisekai, and that would be bad. They also, if the league, it turns out the league is working with them, they won't be able to help. Unfortunately for poor Izuku, like with all the things that have been happening, with the stuff with All Might, like Night Eye saying, he's not deserving of it, and the stuff with Eri, he's kind of became like a ball of emotions, and he's more or less losing his nerve, and he's kind of having on the basis of nervous breakdown, which we get a really great scene with Ida and Todoroki, as Ida and Todoroki are like, you once helped both of us, and if something's bothering you, you'll tell us, right? And Izuku unfortunately can't say anything because he promised, but he at least knows that getting upset and losing his cool won't do anything, so he tries to hold it in. And thankfully, like at the end of this arc, he he'll get better about it. But and I don't really blame him for this because it's like he can't tell them about the All Might stuff because he doesn't want anyone to know about his quirk, and he promised not to say anything about the stuff with Eri and such. But of course, like, I don't know why he can't just talk to Siu and Uraraka and Kirishima about it, but it's whatever. And you can see that this has been definitely a big effect on them, as like it's harder for them to enjoy being at their classes, and basically they have to force themselves to focus on the tasks at hand instead of um, you know, doing that sort of thing. But overall, they have to wait, and thankfully, Night Eye comes in contact with the guy who's Eri's current caretaker as he's trying to buy her a toy for this thing called, I think, Glitter Force Squad 10, which actually is a reference to this magical girl show made by Bandai and Toei. I think over here it's called Glitter Force, but I can't remember what the name of the anime is. I want to say it's Precure. It's Precure. It's a reference to Precure, the Precure series. They have different names, but basically it's about Precure, which I thought was kind of neat because they Horikoshi most of the time references um, American heroes. So it was kind of nice to see him referencing Japanese heroes. You see a lot more Japanese heroes in Vigilantes, and once again we get more about Fat Gum and how he fought against like drug dealers and like the drug cartel, which is again a reference back to Vigilantes where he actually does do that. Um, so um, thankfully he runs into the guy and skillfully touches the dude and activates his quirk in a way that doesn't the guy doesn't notice, and he figures out where Eri is, which is of course in the big compound. Which, to be fair, Rocklock and even Fackham were like, you used your quirk anyways, and we did the search for nothing. But they did get some new intel, and so doing so they know where it is, and for sure um, the easiest path to get there. And so 2 days later, of course, everyone gets the call at night, which I think was one of the few times we get to see Kirishima without his hair spiked up. His hair doesn't actually spike up like that. We did get a scene in his debut where they showed that his hair is normally black. Like tradition, his hair is traditionally black, like most Japanese men and women. But he spikes and colors his hair red as an homage to his favorite hero, Crimson Riot. And I know this isn't like the first time we've seen Kirishima without his hair all spiked up, but how often do we get to see that? And you get to notice some other things like Uraraka has bed hair and Siu sleeps with her hair in a bun, which I know is weird, but I like when we get to see little character things like that like that are just there to show like stuff like Ida and his stupid little sleeping cap. I forgot how much I love that Ida has a little sleeping cap that he sleeps in. I think we also see Todoroki's room again, which is traditionally Japanese, and he doesn't sleep on a bed like everybody else. He sleeps on a futon, which is he's very his family's very traditionally Japanese. We see that more when when we actually see the Endeavor's home. Sorry, I'm a little tired. This winter weather makes me sleepy. I guess me and Sue both have that in common. We both only mine's not because I'm part amphibian. Mine's just I get sleepy when it's warm or when it's cold. I like cold weather more just because I'm naturally pretty warm, and heat makes me kind of nauseous. So uh, when it's cold, I actually like to snuggle up in blankets and stuff, and I sleep a lot better. But anyway, enough about me. You didn't come here for this. Basically, 8 o'clock in the morning, everybody's gathered together. Gran Torino, who was actually a part of that and was kind of talking to Night Eye because he'd hoped that with Midoriya there, maybe him and All Might could patch things up, and he also wanted to know if Night Eye saw that what he saw anything in All Might or in Izuku, which is interesting because he does point out that he sees kind of that same recklessness in Izuku, but like that sense that Izuku and All Might both, like there's a part of them that don't make sense, that they're willing to let themselves get destroyed to save others. That it's more important for them to save lives than it is to worry about themselves. Um, to an almost self-destructive point. But anyway, but Night Eye or Gran Torino won't be a part of the raid as he's got a tip on the lead for the League of Villains, which hopefully means if everything goes according to plan, they can defeat two birds with one stone. Which, yeah. So, so anyway, and so basically the raid begins, and one of um the 8 precepts of death, or I think they're called the 8 heavenly bullets, in the translation, um, which to be fair, the Shie Hasekai means 8 precepts of death, but basically the enforcers of the Shie Hasekai, the 8 holy bullets, um, get ready to go into battle, and we get one of them. I don't remember his name, but he kind of looks like Bane, aside from his bird mask. Which, to be fair, there's a guy that looks like Scarecrow in the 8 holy bullets, so I feel like there's a couple Batman references here, especially because they're like the Mafia, well, the Japanese version of the Mafia, the Yakuza. Um, and he attacks, and we get to see Ryukyu's full quirk at work, where she can basically turn herself into a dragon. I don't know what the other heroes' quirks are, because most of them aren't really important, because they deal with mostly the small fries. It's more or less about the big three: Izuku's group, Aizawa, Fat Gum, and Rocklock as the main fighting force in this. Which next episode we get to see Tamaki actually show off his full might against a group of the 8 holy bullets, and I'm super excited for it because it's one of my favorite fights, and B, I love Tamaki. A, I love his personality, and B, I'm super stoked to see his quirk in play. Um, Especially because we get to see more of it than we did in his first introduction. Sadly, I think the only one who doesn't get to really show off her quirk is Nejire. She really only uses her quirk during her intro with Ryukyu. Unfortunately, she uses it a little bit more, but not very much. We get to see Ryukyu's where she turns herself into a dragon, and oh my god, I didn't notice it as much in the manga, but she looks like the Blue Eyes White Dragon. She looks like if the Blue Eyes White Dragon was had like a special themed like Chinese outfit that was wearing, but she looks like the Blue Eyes White Dragon, which is hilarious. But basically, while this is all happening, uh, you know, Overhaul gets on the move and says, we'll have the 8 holy bullets, keep them busy and slow them down so we can escape with Eri and keep on doing our organization's planned. And if things go wrong, we can just cover it up and say that the superheroes, forced us to act. They acted first, and we simply retaliated. That not that like we can cover this all up. And so that's where the episode ends. The last episode. All in all, these were a good couple episodes. I really liked how much they show. They animated Izuku and Mirio's feelings of both sorrow and determination to get Eri back, especially because that plays so much into this arc about how Izuku and Mirio have felt a huge amount of failure, and showing that even in spite of that, they're still going to fight back, and this time they'll definitely save Eri. We get some good moments with Aizawa. It was nice to see Aizawa acting a little bit more mentorly to the cast instead of the last few times we've had him show up. He kind of had to admonish them. But here he's definitely like, I know you kids are probably going to want to help, and I'm going to make sure you do it without getting hurt and without running into the League of Villains. I like the introduction of Rocklock. He's a little bit abrasive at first, but knowing like the stuff about him that I know, I see why he is the way he is. And I know a lot of people find him to be a fan favorite. And overall, like I think watching these together was kind of good because they really do feel like an hour long, almost like an hour long episode, or like a two-parter, just because of the way they interconnect so much. Um, I love I love the interaction with the thug as he's trying to get something for Aries, so that overall doesn't kill him. Just like, oh, what a girl's like, and he remembers this magical girl show, but like he remembers like the original version of it, not the more modern one, which was funny because like that's so true of Tokusatsu, of like Tokusatsu and like animes that are like serial and they have like they change year after year, so like they all have kind of similar names, like Sentai, for example, or a lot of magical girls that are tied to each other. Unlike say Sailor Moon or Madoka Magica. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed it overall. My only real complaint is more just kind of the fact that we've had a couple episodes now that had to add tack more on after the credits, usually because that usually means like like they go a little bit longer. I kind of feel like they're doing that so that they can like make sure that this only lasts like 14 episodes at most. Um, but to be fair, it's not like it's a bad thing. It's just I usually if an anime goes past the credits, it's because they want to try and extend the episode. And to be fair, it's not like it's a bad thing. It's just to help make sure that they don't go over the amount of episodes that they were supposed to have. But yeah, I also really like we get a little bit more characterization to Aerie, how like you know everyone else that touches her or tries to embrace her, usually it's because they have like this intent, like we're gonna hurt you if you don't comply. But Izuku was kind to her. He was like, are you okay? I'm sorry for running into you. That must have hurt. I hope you're not hurt. Are you not? Are you hurt? And like how like like and basically like Eri has never felt that kind of kindness before. And as we'll see later on, that she will definitely have a lot of attachment to Izuku and Mirio, and somebody else, but that's for later on down the line. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it for these two episodes. Like I said, solid couple episodes. Pretty heavy on more exposition and kind of building what's going to happen in the raid, and then really combat and fighting wise. But now we're getting into the meat, the meat of the combat and stuff. And I honestly can't wait to see what happens. So yeah, guys, I think that's going to be it for episode 7 and 8, or 6 and 7. I keep wanting to say 7 and 8 because 8's coming out in a couple days. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me. I'm Zangetsu 134, and I will catch you later. Until then, take care.